Happy morning, students. Welcome back to Blue Stars Higher Secondary School English online class. So, today we are going to learn an interesting story. Do you know what is that? Yes, fourth supplementary, The Midnight Visitor by Robert Arthur. It is a very short story. So, in this lesson, we can see about the appearance. That is, sometimes appearances can be deceptive, isn't it? So, here in this lesson, as in the case of Osable, a secret agent who, despite his common looks, with his resourcefulness and presence of mind, outwits a deadly criminal. So now let us see the about the author Robert Arthur. So, Robert J. Arthur, he was born on November 10, 1909, was a writer of speculative fiction and specialized in crime fiction and mystery fiction. So, he was a writer of speculative fiction and he was very much specialized in crime fiction and mystery fiction. He was known for his work with the Mysterious Traveler radio series and for writing The Three Investigators, a series of young adult novels. Arthur was honored twice by the Mystery Writers of America with an Edgar Award for Best Radio Drama. He also wrote scripts for television. So, this is the life history of Robert J. Arthur. He was born on November 10, 1909, and he was a writer of speculative fiction and he was very much specialized in crime fiction and mystery fiction. He was known for his work with the Mysterious Traveler radio series and for writing The Three Investigators, a series of young adult novels. So he was very famous in these works. Arthur was honored, so he was honored twice by the Mystery Writers of America with an Edgar Award for Best Radio Drama. And also he wrote scripts for television. Now let us see the characters in the lesson. This is a very small story and it is a very interesting story. So here we are having four characters. So Osable, he is a secret agent. Fowler, he is a young writer. Max, he is the spy. And Henry, he is the waiter in the hotel. So these are the characters. See, Osable, Fowler, Max, Henry. Osable is a secret agent. Fowler is a young writer. Max is the spy. And Henry is the waiter. Now let us move to the story. Osable did not fit any description of a secret agent Fowler had ever read. Following him down the musty corridor of the gloomy French hotel where Osable had a room, Fowler felt let down. It was a small room on the sixth and top floor and scarcely a setting for a romantic adventure. Osable was, for one thing, fat, very fat, and then there was his accent. Though he spoke French and German passably, he had never altogether lost the American accent he had brought to Paris. So, in this paragraph, it is the description of the Osable, how he was. So, here, Osable, he was a secret agent and an intelligent detective. So, Osable was a secret agent and an intelligent detective. So he stayed in a small room of a French hotel. And Fowler, he was a young writer who wanted to meet Osable to solve his personal problem. Osable did not look like a typical detective, so he was fat and he was very fat. He spoke French with an American accent. So Fowler was initially disillusioned with Osable. So, in this paragraph, here they were speaking about Osable, who was a secret agent and an intelligent detective. So, he stayed in a small room of a French hotel, and Fowler was a young writer who wanted to meet Osable to solve his personal problem. And Osable did not look like a typical detective because he was fat and he was very fat, and he spoke French with an American accent because he was born and brought up in Paris, and he know he spoke only a French with an American accent. Supplementary from Boston 20 years ago. So he lived in Boston before 20 years ago, so he spoke French with an American accent. You are disappointed, Osable said Beasley over his shoulder. So Osable said to Fowler, I think you are totally disappointed about my appearance. You were told that I was a secret agent, a spy, dealing in espionage and danger. You wish to meet me because you are a writer, young and romantic. You envision mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistols, drugs in the wine. Instead, you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who, instead of having messages slipped into his hand of dark eyed beauties, gets only a Prozac telephone call making an appointment in his room. So he says to Fowler, you have been bored. The fat man chuckled to himself as he unlocked the door of his room and stood aside to let his frustrated guest enter. You are disillusioned, but Osable told him. So, in this paragraph, he says, so, by seeing the appearance of Osable, Fowler was initially disillusioned with Osable. Here, Osable said to Fowler that everybody would have informed that I was a secret agent, a spy, a dealing in espionage and danger, isn't it? So, what is meant by espionage here? The practice of spying to obtain information. So, they will collect the information from the detectives. So Osable says to Fowler that you are a young and romantic person. You are a young writer and young man, and you are a romantic person. You may envision mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistols, drugs in the wine. So Osable says instead you have spent a dull evening in a French music hall with a sloppy fat man who, instead of having messages slipped into his hand by dark-eyed beauties, gets only a Prozac telephone call, making an appointment in his room. So these are all which was said by Osable. So you are a very young writer and you are a romantic person, but after meeting me, you have to face all this. So you may envision some mysterious figures in the night, the crack of pistols, drugs in the wine, etc. So instead that you have spent a dull evening. So you are spending your time a dull evening with me. That too with a sloppy fat man. So he says, so you have been bored. So yeah, he says to Fowler, so you have been bored because you are spending a time with a very fat man. Next, Fowler was very Fowler was very frustrated, and Osable allowed him to enter the unlock the door. So first, Fowler was very much disappointed and he was very much frustrated. And here, Osable allowed him to enter the unlock the door. So he says to Fowler, you are totally disillusioned. So he says to Fowler that you are totally disillusioned because you are a very young person, young writer, and you are a romantic person. You are spending a time with me, that too sloppy fat man. So I think you are totally frustrated and you are totally disillusioned. Come on, cheer my young friend. So he says to Polar, come on, cheer. Come on, be happy, my young friend. Presently, you will see a paper, a quite important paper for which several men and women have risked their lives. Come to me. Some day soon, that paper may well affect the course of history. That is drama, is there not? As he spoke, Oswald closed the door behind him. Then he switched on the light, and as the light came on, Fowler had his first authentic thrill of the day. For halfway across the room, a small automatic pistol in his hand stood the man. So in this paragraph, they are saying that is Fowler was very much frustrated and Oswald allowed him to enter the unlock the door. So he says to Fowler, but totally disillusioned, and come on, cheer my young friend. And Oswald said to Fowler that you will see a paper, that you are going to see a paper which is quite important paper for several men and women have risked their lives. He said, someday soon that paper may affect the course history. When Oswald and Fowler entered the room, they saw Max, a spy, holding a gun. So he was very much totally disappointed. He was very much frustrated, Fowler, because he saw a man having a gun in his hand. Oswald blinked a few times. Max, he whizzed. So Oswald know that it was Max. So Oswald already know that it was Max who entered into his room. You gave me quite a start. I thought you were in Berlin. So he says to Max, I thought you were in Berlin. What are you doing here in my room? So he asked, Oswald asked Max, what are you doing here in my room? Max was slender, a little less than tall, with features that suggested slightly the crafty, pointed countenance of a fox. So he was a very slender and he was tall and he was a little less, and this is the description of the Max. There was about him, aside from the gun, nothing especially menacing. The report, he murmured. So simply he says he's having a pistol in his hand and he simply says, I need the report. He murmured means he whispered. The report that is being brought to you tonight concerning some new missiles. So he says, the report which you are having, it is about some new missiles. So I need that report. I thought I would take it from you, means I will take it from you. It will be safer in my hands than in yours. So here Max says it will be safer. The report will be safe in my hands than in yours. So in this paragraph, here, Oswald and Max, it is a conversation between Oswald and Max. So Max enters into Oswald's rooms and he asks about the report. And he says, it will be safer in my hands than in yours. Oswald moved to an armchair and sat down heavily. So here Oswald moved to an armchair and he sat down heavily. I am going to raise the devil with the management this time, and you can bet on it, he said gravely. This is the second time in a month that somebody has got into my room through that nuisance of a balcony. So here Oswald told Max that it was the second time in a month that somebody had gone into his room through the balcony. Fowler's eyes went to the single window of the room. But Fowler, who is the Fowler? He is a young man, young writer. But he knows there was a single window against which the night was pressing blackly. Balcony. So he says balcony. Max said with a rising inflection. Max asked, is there a balcony in this room? No, a pass key. I didn't know about the balcony. So Oswald asked Max whether he come through balcony. So Max replied, no, I don't know about the balcony. Just I use a pass key. It might have saved me some trouble had I known. It's not my balcony. Oswald said with extreme irritation. So Oswald says The balcony it didn't belongs to me, it belongs to the next apartment. He glanced exploratory at Fowler. You see, he said, this room used to be a part of a large unit, and the next room through the door there used to be the living room. So he says, Oswald says to Fowler, see, this is a large part of a large unit, and the next room through the door there used to be the living room. So it had the balcony which extends under my window now. You can get on it from the empty room 2 doors down, and somebody did last month. The management promised to block it off, but they haven't. Max glanced at Fowler, who was standing stiffly not far from Oswald, and waved the gun with the commanding gesture. So here, Oswald says to Max, Oswald says to Max that it was the second time a man entered into his room through a balcony. But further, Oswald asked Max whether he had come through the balcony. He replied that he had entered the room using a passkey. His presence of mind made him tell him made him tell a lie that there was a balcony below the window of his room. So that Oswald asked Max whether he had come through the balcony. So this is the description of the balcony. Here there is a conversation between, again there is a conversation between Oswald and Max, and it is about the significance of the balcony. There was no balcony at all, but Oswald's presence of mind made him tell a lie that there was a balcony below the window of his room. So here Max was accepted about the balcony. So he believed that there was a balcony. Please sit down, he said. We have to wait half an hour, I think. 31 minutes. Oswald said moodily. So he said to Max, please sit down, Max. We have to wait still half an hour, I think. Because the appointment was for 12:30. So we are having appointment was for 12:30. I wish I knew how you learned about the report, Max. So I thought I knew how you know about the report. The little spy smiled evilly. And we wish we knew how your people got the report. So now they are talking about the report, and Oswald says, I know how your people got the report, but no harm has been done. I will get it back tonight. So here Oswald says, I know about the report and I will get it back tonight. There will be no harm has been done. What is that? Who is at the door? So here, before that, Oswald have ordered drinks to the waiter. So Henry is a waiter and he was knocking at the door. What is that? Who is at the door? Here, Max asking, what is that? Who is at the door? Fowler jumped at the sudden knocking at the door. So Fowler, as soon as he heard the knocking the door, Fowler jumped at the sudden knocking at the door. Oswald just smiled. Here Oswald just smiled because he know the waiter came here to serve the drinks. So here Oswald again used his presence of mind. He said, that will be the police, he said. So he said, that will be the police. I thought that such an important paper as the one we were waiting for should have a little extra protection. So he says, I only arranged a police because we are having such an important paper and we should need a little extra protection. I told them to check on me to make sure everything was all right. And also he said, I told the policeman to check on me to make sure everything was all right. Max bit his lip nervously. So here Max was nervous. The knocking was repeated. So again the knocking was repeated continuously. What will you do? Page 137, the Midnight Britisher. Now, Max. Oswald asked, if I do not answer the door, they will enter away. So here, the door is unlocked. So here, Oswald asks, if I do not answer the door, they will enter anyway. So if I not open the door, surely they will enter anyway. So here in this paragraph, again, Oswald uses his presence of mind that he tell a lie that will be the police, but actually there was a waiter who was knocking at the door. So here Max was totally irritated and he was totally disappointed and he was nervous, and they will not hesitate to shoot. So he said, police, if they enter into my room, they will not hesitate to shoot. Max's face was black with anger as he backed swiftly towards the window. So he was very much angered. Max's face became black with anger as he backed swiftly towards the window. He swung a leg over the sill. Send them away, he warned. So he gone back and he said, send them away. He is warning to Wasable to send the police back. I will wait on the balcony. So he said, I will wait on the balcony, send them away. Send them away, or I will shoot and take my chances. So send the police away, otherwise, I will shoot them and I will take the report. The knocking at the door became louder and a voice was raised. So here again, the knocking at the door, it became louder and a voice was raised. So here Max was totally frustrated and he was totally disappointed and he was totally anxious. Keeping his body twisted so that his gun still covered the fat man and his guest, the man at the window grasped the frame with his free hand to support himself. Then he swung his other leg up and over the window sill. The doorknob turned. Swiftly, Max pushed with his left hand to free himself from the sill and dropped to the balcony. And then, as he dropped, he screamed once shrilly. So, here in this paragraph, they said, on the second knocking, what happened? On the second knocking, Max jumped through the window in order to escape, thinking that there was the balcony. Since there was no balcony, he fell down to the ground screamingly, and this is what Oswald expected. This is the significance of the balcony. It shows the cleverness of the detective, but Oswald already knew that the waiter would come to his room since he ordered to bring drinks. The door opened and a waiter stood there with a tray, a bottle, and two glasses. So here the door opened and a waiter stood there with a tray, a bottle, and two glasses. The waiter, there was no police. The waiter only knocked the door. But the presence, but Oswald present, or but Oswald tell a lie to Max that it was a policeman. So he was very much nervous and he jumped into the window. He thought there was a balcony. Here is the drink, he ordered. When you return, he said, and set the tray on the table, deftly uncorked the bottle and left the room. So here the waiter says, here is the drink which you ordered when we return from the when you return from evening. He said and set the tray, and he kept the tray on the table, deftly uncorked the bottle and left the room. White-faced Fowler stared after him. So here Fowler stared Oswald, but he stammered the police. So Fowler also thought that it might be police. So he was very much stammered. He was very much afraid. There was no police. So here Oswald side. Oswald says there was no police, only Henry, whom I was expecting. So he said, I know that is only Henry, whom I was expecting, but won't that man out on the balcony? So here Fowler asked if the man was in balcony because he jumped through the window, and Fowler thought Max will be in the balcony. No, said Oswald. So here Oswald says, no, he will not be in the balcony. He won't return. He won't return again. You see, my young friend, there is no balcony. So here Oswald says, you see, my young friend, there is no balcony in my room. So this is the story of the lesson, the midnight visitor. So in this paragraph, they said, already told you, the waiter said, here is the drink which you ordered, and he went away. But Fowler stared at Oswald, but he stammered the police. Oswald said, there was no police, only Henry, whom I was expecting. Fowler asked Ausable whether Max would be in balcony. Ausable said no, he might have gone and he won't return because you see, my young friend, there is no balcony. On the other hand, Fowler, the young writer, had his first authentic thrill of the day. It was a new experience to him. He may thought the criminal was waiting for Ausable to plunder something from him. As it was the first time Fowler saw a man with a pistol, he was shocked. But the presence of the intelligent detective might give him hope to withstand the unwanted midnight visitor. Thus, the title, The Midnight Visitor, is apt. So, next we can see the glossary. What is meant by musty? Having a stale smell. Musty means having a stale smell. Wheezily, with a hissing sound while breathing. Espionage, the practice of spying to obtain information. Sloppy, careless and unsystematic. Prosaic, ordinary, usual. Inflection means modulation, intonation. Sill, a slab of wood or stone at the foot of a window, opening or doorway. Deftly means skillfully. So this is the glossary. So now we can see the summary. I will read the summary, you will understand. Here, the story revolves around three characters, two rival spies named Osable and Max, and one mystery writer followed. So here, this is a story which revolves only around three characters. So here there are two rival spies named Osable and Max, and one mystery writer Fowler. His name was Fowler. He was a young writer. Osable is a chubby, lethargic, messy, and clumsy man, while Max is slender and drugged. So Osable, he was a very chubby person and he was very fat, while Max, he was slender and he was tall. The story is short but intriguing insight into the life of a spy, which may not be as glamorous as in the movies but still full of danger and suspense. So, this is a very short story, but it was very interesting and it was full of danger and suspense. Usually, the spy life was full of danger and suspense. Osable meets Fowler, a writer fascinated by spies and secrets. So here, Osable, he meets Fowler, a writer fascinated by spies and secrets. Osable was expecting a sensitive document to arrive that night and so asked Fowler to follow him through the night. So here, Osable, he was expecting a sensitive document which are going to arrive that night. So he asked Fowler to follow him through the night. Though Fowler is disappointed at Osable's appearance and mannerism. He agrees to do the same. So, by seeing Osable, he didn't think that he was a spy because he was very fat. Suddenly, Osable gets a phone call regarding someone who has entered his hotel room. So, suddenly he got a phone call regarding someone who has entered his hotel room. Alarmed but not overly worried, he beckons follower to follow him to his room. The room is on the sixth floor, so he lived on the sixth floor. As they enter the room, they are startled by a pistol toting individual staring at them. So, as they open the door, they are startled by a pistol toting individual staring at them. It is Max, the rival spy of Osable. So it is Max, the rival spy of Osable. He asks them to enter and lock the room. So he asks Osable to enter into the room and lock the room. He threatens Osable and wants him to hand over the documents to him as soon as they arrive at his room later that night. So he asks Osable to hand over the documents to him. Playing rather composed, Oswald sits down and complains about the balcony window that he thought Max used to break into his room. Max claims that he used the master key to get inside, and had he known about the balcony, he would have used that instead. Oswald reiterates that he complained to the management about the balcony window several times and has had previous break ins. Fowler is listening to the conversation intently. Suddenly, there is a loud clamor at the door. Oswald suggests that it must be the police that he has arranged to safekeep the documents. Max gets anxious and asks Oswald to turn them away while he hides in the balcony. He threatens to shoot if he smells any trickery. As soon as Max leaps outside the window, he yells out of horror as he crashes to the road below. The room has no balcony after all. Next, the door opens and Fowler sees a waiter holding Oswald's drinks. There is no policeman. Fowler is relieved and impressed by Oswald's presence of mind. He realizes that looks can truly be deceiving. So, this is the story of the Midnight Visitor. And what is the conclusion? The criminal is the creative artist, the detective only the critic. Hope you would have all understood the story, students. Thank you, students. Have a great day.